Hello and welcome to this week's short video tutorial. This will be part number 30 from the free ebook that is available on the World Xiangqi Federation website, which I have renamed as Deception and Countermeasures in the Xiangqi Opening. Again, this will be a central Canon versus greenhouse defense. The link to the free ebook is given in the comment section below. So before we continue, continue. Please let us give authors some credit. Master Yang and Grandmaster Zhang Qiang. So without further ado, let us see what they had for this board. Central Cannon, Greenhouse Defense. This is one commonly played variation for red in Xiangqi. Red would choose to develop his left horse as an edge horse and prepare to go for the 5-7 or 5-6 cannons, or even the pawn rank cannon if needed. Now this would be red would opt for a slower pace in the game and choose to develop both flanks as evenly as possible. However, because the chariot was not pushed, one of the counters that black would have would be to push it +4 to form a blockade. But in this board, black could choose to play b7+1 to allow for development of this horse and to prevent the development of red's horse in the same file. Red will go for the 5-7 cannons. Notice that no pawns have been pushed, and this will be a very important factor. In this variation, black could choose to play c2+2. This would be a more steadfast approach to the game because black would place more emphasis on balanced development of all the major pieces. Now, instead of countering red's aggression immediately, black would try to solidify his defense and to build a formidable defense before starting to counter red's attack. So the general pace of the game would have slowed down greatly. c2+4 or again ca+4 are commonly played variations, and both would lead to various different but very complicated situations. Now, one of the reasons for pushing c2+2 was that black was prepared to play h7+8, whereby the horse will be protected by the cannon and thus allow the cannon to attack the red chariot. So red will try to move the chariot away, prevent black from making this move, and play r2+6, threatening to capture or attack the black horse, at which black could immediately move the horse to the riverbank to prevent capture, and also threaten to play p7+1 to attack the red chariot. Red will continue with r9 goes to 8 to threaten the cannon before black can do so, protecting the cannon, and red would try to make his presence known on the riverbank. e3+5 to consolidate defense, and in this variation, red would continue with c7+7, which is usually not encouraged because this would be it would have been done too early in the game, and the cannon and the chariot would be vulnerable to sneak attacks by black's material on the riverbank. However, this method of playing was very popular back in the 1980s or 90s, I can't remember, and remains one of the major ways of playing this position by older players like myself. A more steadfast approach would be to play p9+1, whereby red would prepare to develop his edge horse while still maintain the 5-7 cannons to protect his cannon rank. So, because c7+4 was played, black would go ahead and play p7+1, threatening to capture the red chariot. forcing the red chariot away, and thus allow the horse to charge across the river. Now by making this move, black would be prepared to trade his horse for the cannon and then push the pawn forward. So we arrive at one of the more important positions of the board. Red would discourage black from doing so. Now, it would not be a good idea to play r8 equals to 3 at this point, because black will still trade pieces and now threaten the cannon that has just crossed the river. And as can be seen, because the red chariot had left this file, the black cannon and chariot will now be free to attack red's right flank over here. The black pieces would be very active. Black would have many options to continue with, for example, h2 plus 3, etc, etc. Oh, sorry, h3 plus 4, etc, etc. So, by retreating the cannon, black would play very aggressively and with c8 plus 5. Now, suddenly the pace of the game would become very volatile. The situation on the board would become very intense. By making this move, black would be threatening to capture the edge horse and advance his chariot to the cannon rank to attack the red horse, the remaining red horse on the board. This is because the red cannon had retreated. r2 plus 3 will not be a good idea at this point, because black's situation will still be okay. So c8 plus 5 would be discussed in this position, capturing the pawn, trade, check. And this would be the position of discussion. The black horse was trapped with nowhere to go, but black would make use of the cannon at the bottom rank to organize an attack, because the central cannon, which is located in the centroid position at this point, would cause weaknesses in red's formation and allow black to attack. One very obvious target would be to capture the advisor for the checkmate. There were two variations that were discussed. The first was r2 plus 7, whereby black would immediately target or threaten the red horse. Now this is a very enticing move, and however, the recommended move in this situation would be r2 plus 6 instead. So without further ado, let us go into variation 1. With r2 plus 7, red would capture the black horse, and black would attempt the checkmate, forcing the red cannon to move away, check, and with a4 plus 5, the red advisor will be threatening to capture the black chariot and also the black horse at the same time. So the red cannon was in fact a pseudo sacrifice. Black would counter sacrifice his horse, and at this time it would be advisable for black to play k5 equals to 4. In the board, red would play k5 equals to 4, threatening to launch a checkmate attack by capturing the advisor, forcing the king, and then playing r3 plus 5 for the checkmate. It would not be a good idea to capture the horse to try to get lost material, because black would go for the throat-cutting checkmate, Now, black would prepare to sacrifice his chariot to play r8 equals to 5, forcing the cannon, and still go for the checkmate. So this would force the red king to move out to safety, but black would still continue to capture the advisor, sacrifice his chariot, and finally force a checkmate. So that is why red cannot capture the black horse which was poisoned. So if red did not capture the horse and tried to counter with a checkmate, black would first consolidate his defense, and red would still have to capture the horse or he would be down material wise. Black would go for the kill. Red would protect his rib file, hoping to be able to retreat his chariot to trade chariots. Now, red would still go for a very aggressive attack. K5 equals to 4 would not be a good idea because red could use his cannon to protect the advisor. That is why black would play r8 equals to 5. A check, a brilliant check by red. Check. And as can be seen, red would not have gained material. So if this were played, red would simply move his king to safety, and this r4 equals to 6 would not be a checkmate because the red house would now be protecting this intersection. Now, as can be seen at this point in time, although red would have lost 2 advisors, he would still have 1, 2, 3, 4 pawns versus black's 2 pawns and 1 major piece in the presence of the red house. So red would have been successful with his pseudo sacrifice early on, and he will be awarded very nicely with this position. A short recap: r2 plus 7 was played by black in an aggressive attempt to go for the checkmate. Now this was not a good idea because check, a brilliant check, another check, and the black chariot will be lost together with black's game. So red would have been successful with his pseudo sacrifice earlier on. In variation 2, r2 plus 6 was suggested. This would be the advised move because we will see red would now be in deep trouble and would have to sacrifice. Would have to try to force a trade of chariots. Instead of attacking the advisor, black would go for the elephant, forcing the red cannon away. And at this point, the situation on the board would be to black's favor because although black would have lost a major piece in the attack, his chariot and cannon would now be a major threat. The red chariot cannot move, or it will be a discovered attack to capture the red chariot. So red would have managed to gain the material advantage, but black would be attacking very ferociously. Now both colors, it will be a complicated situation. Both colors would have their strengths and weaknesses. It will be roughly equal overall, but black can be very satisfied with this outcome. So as can be seen earlier, r2 plus 6 and r2 plus 7 made a whole world of difference to the situation of the board. r2 plus 7 was not a good idea, and r2 plus 6, although it will result in black losing a major piece, it would still give black a chance to attack very ferociously. So I hope you've enjoyed this very short video. If you like the work that I've been doing, please subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up for this video. Thank you.